Howdy, with this video, I want to go over the career essay, make sure you understand what I'm looking for there and where to find things. The essay is located on the content page under material for essay number 2. I was already there, wasn't I? But you'll see the assignment sheet right here, MLA Career Essay U25. By the way, the U's on all these assignments, that means summer. You can't use S because that means spring, so we use U for summer. If you ever wonder, like, why's it always say U? That's what's going on there. But we're going to open this up and see what kind of fun we're going to get into. This one's going to be a little bit longer. There's no prescribed number of paragraphs. You don't have to have a certain number of words in each paragraph. But again, hopefully you've kind of, with the first essay, you kind of understand what a fairly well-developed paragraph looks like, and you're going to keep doing that in subsequent essays. But for this essay, you're going to write an 1,100-word minimum essay. That sounds like a lot, but generally word count's not a problem with this essay because you're doing a lot more research, and and there's plenty of material to include in this. But you're going to research the college admissions, college programs, degrees you hope to earn, and the job you hope to obtain with those college degrees. And again, a lot of this is more about college than the actual career, so kind of keep that in mind as you're thinking about this essay. If you're not sure what you want to be when you grow up, I'm still struggling with that. I'm 61 years old. Pick something. Pick the dream career. If you want to be, an art critic, can you do that and make money and feed yourself? Probably so. I mean, we still need art critics, right? Or underwater basket weavers, or whatever the dream job might be. Maybe kind of see if you can make money at it. Quite a few students say, I just love dancing. I've been dancing all my life, but I don't think I can make money at it. It's like, well, somebody's making money at it. So maybe, create, research a career in dance or something. Others of you have already said, I know what I want to do. I'm getting this degree to do this job, to do this thing. And that's perfect. You're ready to go with this essay. But again, if you're not sure, pick one thing. Don't try and research multiple possibilities. Just one career, one educational path to get to that career, and that's what we're looking for here. Just a note there: your academic plan doesn't count as part of the word count, but we're going to still be with MLA formatting. Need at least 4 sources in your essay. I'm going to tell you where to go for most of those. One, you need a source for your academic plan. You're going to be using the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and then 2 more sources somewhere in there, which shouldn't be too hard to do. You need a short quote, long quote, summary, and paraphrase. Hopefully, before you've watched this video, you've gone over the MLA formatting video, so you kind of know what I'm saying there. You need a semicolon, all the fun punctuation, all the forbidden words are still there. You can use I, you're talking about yourself, but the rest of them are still forbidden. And kind of notice the essay is already given to you kind of in an outline format. Specific sections. What you do within each section kind of depends on your career. So there's no real set, you must do 2 paragraphs on section this or something. But you should have all the sections within your essay. The first one, you want to introduce the specific job, specific career field. Don't just say I want to be a nurse. Do you want to be a NICU nurse, a geriatric nurse, a travel nurse? What kind of nurse are eventually going to try to be? And you want to research all the different things you have to know to get into that specific field. Same thing with welding. You're going to do pipe welding, you're going to do underwater welding, or space welding. I don't know the different types of welding, but I don't know what do you need to do to get into that specific field. And it's a little bit of a persuasive / argument essay. The argument you make is that you've got a plan. You're personally suitable for this particular career, and you're on your way. So that's might just be 1 paragraph. Some people make that into 2. Also, it's kind of fun to see why you want to get into that career. I have no idea why anybody would want to be a nurse. My mother's a nurse, and she complained a lot about drunk people and people on drugs and all this. She was an ER nurse for a while, and just sounded like the most horrible job. She loved it, but to me, it just sounded like the most horrible job in the world. Why do you want to get into something like that? And you can throw that back at me like, well, why do you want to get into teaching, right? The second section, that's where you get into the college degrees, the certifications, the college programs you need to get into, all these educational requirements. And this should be kind of a step-by-step process in this part. So if you want to be a nurse, one, you got to get in, you got to be accepted into the college you want to go to. So even if it's Northeast State, you got to be accepted to Northeast State. You're not a nursing major until you apply to the nursing program, right? Your pre-health professions or something like that. You got to apply to the nursing program. What does that entail? What kind of requirements do they have? Excuse me. What are your plans for meeting those requirements just to get into a program? Same thing with some of the tech ed stuff. They don't accept everybody. There's a limited number of slots, and you have to apply and be accepted. So yes, they should be addressing what you need to be able to do that. Then after that, you actually get into the program. Then you get, what's it take to get through the program? I'm just going to focus on nursing here real quick. Finally get into the nursing program. It's a very challenging program. Whether there's success rates with students who begin it and, do they persist to the end? Then if you finally get your nursing degree, you still got to pass the NCLEX exam. If you don't pass that, you're just a highly educated non-nurse person. So what, and you want to research all this. What of the students who make it through the Northeast State Nursing Program, how many pass the NCLEX? That's a very important thing to know. And what kind of requirements happen along the way? You need additional certifications and things like that. So just that that section might be at least 1 or 2 paragraphs. Because that's, as a college teacher, and as you all are first semester, a lot of you are first semester freshmen, kind of want to, kind of see what that plan is. You'll talk about other parts of the job. What kind of physical abilities do you need? Nursing's hard on the body, right? So is welding. If you have a job to go up to that tower and weld that thing onto the top, if you're my age, you're gonna be like, I can't do that. What kind of physical abilities do you need to do your particular job? What kind of personality traits do you need? I'm not particularly sympathetic to people who fall down and hurt themselves. My kids go to my mom, to their mother. I'm blood and guts usually, and she's puke and poop. But generally, I'm like, get up and limp. Why you hurt your leg? What do you want from me? That I should not be a nurse. Period. I freely admit that, and thank God we do have people who have different personality traits who want to be nurses. Excuse me. But for that, you might probably want to talk to people in the field, someone who can give good information, not just Johnny546 at yahoo.com out there on the internet, but maybe somebody who's been a nurse and can kind of tell you, like, here's what you need to be able to do physically, emotionally, in terms of personality. Similar thing that section 2, you're going to have that academic plan, which hopefully, by the time you get this far, you kind of already started that. So I can see your plan for your first degree. And then, within the essay itself, you'll talk about if you're like transferring to ETSU's nursing program, you're going to talk about what it takes to transfer into there and courses you need to take and all that. Don't forget to talk about cost a little bit. And a lot of programs will tell you the placement rate, so if you graduate from the program, what's your chance of getting a job in that field. That'd be good to have. So then you can start seeing where the other 2 sources for your essay are coming in. One, you're going to have the source for your academic plan, and then some other information is going to require a little bit of research. So that might be half your essay right there. Then section 3, you're going to talk about your chosen career path. Hopefully, after you go through all this education and certification and testing and all that, you're going to make a pretty decent salary. Also, as you're talking about these things, make sure you're commenting on it, right? If you're gonna make $40,000 a year as a social worker, is that enough? It's a hard job. It's a grinding job. You have to have a certain personality to persevere in that job, and you don't make a lot of money. So you want to talk about that a little bit. Do you have local job opportunities? If you got a family here and you're not able to move, are there local job opportunities that you can that will be available? If you want to go national, international, what possibilities are out there, and of course you want to talk about the future prospects of the job. AI is starting to have a pretty profound effect on a lot of professions. So, how's that going to affect how you do your job and whether you can still have a job in 20 years? Definitely want to hear about your upward or sideways mobility. If you're a nurse for 10 years and your back's giving out on you, what else can you do with that experience in that education? Can you get into management? Can you get into teaching? Can you get into this or that? It's a problem with an English degree. There's not a lot of mobility with this degree. I probably have to go back to school to get some more education. Hopefully, not more English, but sometimes English majors make very good lawyers. You got to be able to read, write, and interpret text and understand things like that. So there are possibilities, but it might take more education. Excuse me, there's something in my room that's giving me a coughing nose fit here. But also make sure you consider I want to see some of the negative components of the job. Every job has negative components. Where's the stress come from? What causes the stress? What are the turnover rates? If you get into teaching, almost half of teachers within 5 years are no longer in the teaching profession. What's going on there? Where's that stress coming from? Why are teachers leaving? What's causing the problems there? And of course, you can always talk about some good things about the job as well, obviously, but hopefully you're doing that as you go along. Then after in section 4, how are you going to make yourself marketable? If you must work for Ballot Health in 2 years when you get your degree, what are you going to do to make sure you're the person they want to hire? How are you going to make yourself marketable? Volunteer work, academic organizations, professional organizations, all this kind of stuff that you could be doing to make yourself more marketable and get the job you want whenever you get there. And then eventually you'll have a fairly short conclusion, or you want this section 4 to kind of lead to your conclusion and get out of the essay there. And your last page will be your works cited page. But everybody should have all 4 sections there, or all 5 sections, I guess, the way I have it there. And it's going to be different for everybody. Different professions have different requirements. If you're going to go try to be a medical doctor, you're going to spend a lot of time up here in section 2 because you got to get your 4-year degree, then you got to go to get into medical school, then you got to get into residency, then you got to do your specialty, and yada, 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 right? And by that time, you'll probably have a little bit of student loans to pay back. But that's the essay. Again, you're only going to research one possible career, one career path, or in one educational and career path. So if you're not quite sure, pick one. And again, I suggest pick the dream. If you always wanted to own your dance studio, what's it take to do that? Or whatever that's going to be. There's a sample career essay up there. I'll probably might do a separate video. We'll see how everybody's doing when we get to the drafts and stuff. But you got to see he follows the assignment sheet, the basic outline. This is a dual enrollment student from a few years ago. And he's just saying, hey, I want to be a mechanical engineer. Here's why I'm interested in it. He defines what the profession does, which is a way to get a source in there. And if you've already watched the MLA formatting video, you know he's doing a summary or paraphrase. There's no quote marks around it. It's not offset. Then he has to talk about his education and get into that. Whenever you use a source, you want to make sure you cite the source using the first word on the works cited page. And a page number if you have one. Most essays here don't have page numbers. Or most assessors won't. What's it take to succeed in that profession? What do these people actually do? Then he has his academic plan. He's a dual enrollment student, so that's a reason you don't see any English classes here listed in that first term. He's giving you the classes he's going to take and the order he's going to take them as best as he can figure it out, right? He can't. 3 years down the road, it's hard to tell where you're going to be. But this sample essay is a good example of how to complete the assignment. It's not a perfect essay. You might see some MLA errors and stuff in there. He's going to talk about cost. If you're going to go to a place like UT Knoxville or Vanderbilt, he eventually got accepted to Vanderbilt. Got a nice scholarship too. So good for him. But how do you pay for all this, right? Then he gets into so he's got his educational path kind of mapped out. Then he's got to start talking about the profession itself. And kind of notice he talks about the information he gives. Don't just say engineers make from $54,000 to $131,000 a year. It's like that's one, that's quite a range, but two, is that enough? And it doesn't depend where you work and things like that. But he's doing a pretty good job meeting the assignment guidelines. And he kind of gets into the idea. It's like, hey, I wouldn't mind working for NASA or one of these space companies or space organizations. And talks about that a little bit. How do you make yourself marketable? You just don't walk into NASA and say, I'm here. You're right. Internships, making contacts, getting out there, professional organizations, things like that. So kind of a longer essay. But having to talk about a 4-year degree kind of takes a little more time. And plus, he's wanting to do something fairly specific with that mechanical engineering, getting into NASA or something like that. So he's going to talk about that quite a bit. Then he has his works cited page, looking good. That's kind of what the essay is going to look like. It's easy to look at somebody else doing it. It's not as easy when you have to do it yourself, right? But keep in mind, you want to follow that assignment sheet. Where did I not know where to go? There it is. Make sure you have everything in each section, and you'll get to the word count pretty easily, obviously. And again, this is different for everybody. Some of you are kind of almost towards, not, I won't say the end of your career, but kind of in the middle of the career, making a slight shift or something. So it's going to be a different essay. It's not going to be the formulaic essay like the first one was. So everybody's going to have to adapt their experiences and goals to the assignment. Okay. All right. I'm going to hush up there, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.